Hello my friends, welcome to the metal shop. And it's a cold February day here in the shop. I did bust out my old, when I say old, this thing is ancient. I had this in the 80s. It's got to be 35 plus years old. My old DeLonghi space heater. It's like an oil-filled radiator. Kind of smells a little bit. The heat smells a little bit, but it's taking the edge off here in the metal shop. And it's cold February day, and it's about 22, 23 degrees, as it should be in February. One thing I did notice was this thing with it's a 600, 900, add them together 1500 watts. At 1500 watts, it's drawing a lot of amps, and I started popping circuit breakers once I was using a bunch of other accessories. So anyway, what I'm working on today is the fresh air vents, and I bought this kit from Finish Line. It comes with two vents, two flaps, if you want to call them that. Some pretty rudimentary instructions. Excuse me while I walk here. But if you'll remember, when I did the dash, I had holes for these Bowden cables, and this is essentially like a bicycle shifter cable. It's all, and it just opens, just opens the flap. So I did install both of those, and these are going to be way too long, but you can shorten these. Obviously, you're just going to pull back a length of the inner cable, clip it, so you still have enough to operate, your bicycle shift lever, your brakes, whatever it is. In this case, it is going to be the valves here. So they call for a 3 1/8 inch hole saw. I only had a 3-inch, which is fine. It fits really snug. I mean, I could hammer it in. What I'm just going to do is I think I'm going to take a Dremel and a drum, and I'm just going to, ease that hole a little bit. So you drop this in place. You need to drill a hole for a grommet with the Bowden cable, and I actually use these reversed. There's a left and a right. The cable pulls to open. It pulls it up like so. So what you want is this would be the left-hand side, and with the mounting assembly on the opposite side would be for this side. But here it's going to work out for me. I'm going to put this in the hole, and I'm going to be able to run the Bowden cable through this little section here. It'll be a nice little spot for the grommet over here. And I just wanted to show you this. I already did drill one hole here. Look at the fiberglass is super thick. And I've had people actually say, now don't kill me in the comments, I don't believe this is true, where they've actually said, this is why the Street Beast kits are better than the Factory 5. The Factory 5 fiberglass is so thin, it's not sturdy. The Factory 5 is just, a much better kit to build. You essentially need a drill and a rivet gun, and you can build one of these cars. This is a lot more difficult. But you can't argue the fiberglass, this is almost like a firewall piece, is super thick, and the fiberglass on the body is a lot beefier than the Factory 5 kit. It's a lot more structural, if you will. So over on the driver's side, we've got, of course, we've got a lot more obstructions in the way. Sorry, you can't really see this very well. We've got the steering column. That's the bracket for the throttle pedal. We have this structural plate here. This would be for a traditional master cylinder in this area. You can see where I've kind of traced out where I'm going to put the fresh air vent there. Oh, there we go. That's nice. I want to stay away from the headers. I didn't want to go up high. You want fresh air into your footwell. It's a Roadster, so you're going to get plenty of air up over the top and through the sides. But these things, the original cars with 427s got so hot in here that they had to add the fresh air, and you kind of want it, low, blowing to your feet. Here's the Bowden cable on this side. You can see there I have the pedals just kind of mocked up. I still have to, hard mount those. I'm still working on flaring some brake lines, etc. But I'm going to drill the hole on this side, and it does require cutting into this bracket a little bit, but these Lennox hole saws are outstanding. they cut through metal as well. So let's get the hole drilled. All right, so got the driver's side hole drilled. I wish I'd bothered to take the time to look behind it. I mean, I knew there wasn't really anything there, but my throttle pedal was there, and the tip of the drill bit just kind of wrecked my nice paint job on it. But anyway, no big deal. Lennox hole saw worked the champ. Cut the fiberglass no problem, and even the edge off that metal bracket like it wasn't even there. Nothing to it. I've already gone after it with the Dremel and an 80 grit sanding disc just to take it off a little bit. And let's see which way we're going to orient it. Oh, nice. We're going to orient it like so. Already test fit this, and it will drop right in. There, that's a better look at that. Got to drill 3 holes for, I think they recommend that they say to use some pretty small screws. I'm going to use probably some pretty small nuts and bolts to hold the flappers on. And yes, I know that it's ridiculously close to the headers. That is unavoidable. They are going to be cut in this area to step down. They are going to be ceramic coated, and I'm going to wrap them. On this side, there's just nothing I can do about it. It's got to be where it's got to be. And I'm gonna have a fan in line here pushing fresh air through. So is what it is. So I'm gonna get the other side with the Dremel. I'll drill a couple holes for the Bowden cables and some mounting holes, and you can join me when I'm through with that. Lots of fiberglass dust. Joy. All right, so here's where I'm gonna leave off for the night. Get the holes properly sized, have the mounting holes drilled, have the holes for the Bowden cable drilled with grommets in them. So I still have to cut these down to the proper size here, and what'll happen is the Bowden cable will be clamped in here and then run down to this and operate the door like I stated before. But yeah, I still got a bunch to do. I didn't have the proper size bolts here to mount the vents, the flapper. Anyway, what I had to do over here on this side is I had to grind a little bit of this lip away, because what I will show you is when this goes into place, how does it go? It goes like so. Like that. The throttle pedal here, sorry about all the shadowing. Here, you can see it there. The throttle pedal is going to hit it. So what I'm going to do is a combination of, I wanted to use a gasket on these anyway, so I'm going to use a rubber gasket. I might have to use a couple of washers, and as I showed you, I did ease that just a little bit so that the throttle will still hit up against the firewall. So make a trip to the hardware store. Sorry, that's terrible. Make a trip to the hardware store tomorrow, get some mounting hardware, maybe try and figure out what I'm going to use for some kind of rubber gasket material, and we will pick up there. Cool. All right, so the passenger side is done. Went to the hardware store, got some 1024 stainless steel machine screws with the Allen head, and I got nylock bolts. And yeah, they're expensive and they're overkill. It's a little over $1, about $1.10, maybe even $1.20 if you factor in the 2 washers, times 3. But I'm only building 1 car. I'm not a bean counter, for Ford or even for Shelby for that matter. So I had some 3M strip caulk, which is, I call it like Dum Dum. Here, let me show you. It's this stuff over here, 3M strip caulk black. And there's a little piece of it that I had left over. Probably, this is kind of nice because it squishes. And, everything's going to have a weather tight seal. Of course, I don't anticipate to drive this car in the rain, but sometimes you get stuck in the rain, and I really don't want, you know, wet carpet and water getting in your feet, so I'm going to use a lot of that Dum Dum strip caulk adhesive there. All right, so there's the flapper valve, and we go inside the cockpit here. We're open, we're closed, we're open, we're closed. Works pretty good. I had some old cable adhesive from a motorcycle that I used to have, and I did oil up these cables here. These are working a little sticky. You see open, you see closed, and I couldn't get the pull to sit the way I wanted it, you know, to read across like this. So there is the strip caulk adhesive, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a bead around the edge here. I'm going to put this in, cinch it down on this side here on the driver's side, because I have the plate here for the throttle pedal. I'm going to have to put a couple of washers here just to make it fit flush. And as you recall, I did have to grind this one down here a little bit for the throttle actual pedal to clear this. So kind of fiddly. I'm not gonna be able to show you this, but I'm going to get this one bolted up and wrap it up. Cool. All right, real quick. So there's the Dum Dum strip caulk adhesive installed. I actually used it to hold the washers in place. Worked out pretty nicely. And I wanted to show you this cable care kit. This is great stuff. It's just kind of a silicone lube. It's definitely petroleum based, but it comes with this cool clamp. And you clamp this over your Bowden cable, and it has a rubber kind of a grommet that you stick the hose into, and it forces the lube to go down the hose. So pretty cool little thing. You motorcycle guys know all about this. Awesome. I've had this for years. Blackfoot Motorsports. Yeah, I bought this online. So anyway, let's get this installed up. So now what we're doing is we're going to cut this Bowden cable. It's a little bit too long here. So what I have done is I've slid it way out here, you can see, so that when I cut it, I'm going to cut the outer sheath and I'm going to cut the inner cable, but I've still left myself, you know, if you look there, like 4 inches that's going to slide back out after I've cut it. So, you know, this crimps the sheath here, the inner cable locks in down here, so I need to cut off. And I have a bunch of slack inside here. Should I sell myself short, I'll be fine with it. I'm just going to use these snips here, and it will cut right through the cable. So try and hang on. I'm going to give you a brief pause here. I'm going to make a mark, and then we're going to cut it. So I made my mark, and try and do this with one hand here. Just give it a good, those tin snips are slipping off it. There we go. Get a good bite on it. And there we go. Clipped it right off. And it should, when we slide this back, there we go. We go back through, back in, and there we go. We got our nice right length of cable there. The inner cable's in there. So again, this is kind of too fiddly, but I'm gonna clamp in the outer sheath here. The inner working cable clamps in here, and join me and we'll finally wrap this up. All right, my friends, so job done. There's the driver's side. Now, I like to, you don't have to wrap this over, but you really need to go through and bend it up so you have a physical catch there. Not just, you're not relying on just the screw holding that in place. I mean, this isn't critical, but you really want that, like I said, you want that physical stop, you know, to keep you, so you don't have air always blowing or never blowing. Unintended consequence here is I could use the top nut, which is obscured behind the throttle pedal here, but I could use it as a stop. I am going to need a stop. The throttle pedal is actually still touching the, you know, the 3-inch, the round vent here, just a hair, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to need to install a throttle stop that's going to hold it up anyway. So let's see. Oh, there we go. Open, close, open, close. All right, and you hear that? That's the throttle. It's actually hitting the throttle the pedal. Luckily, it's just a rubber flap, so it's not going to impede me from reaching full throttle in any way, shape, or form. So anyway, my son just breezed through here with his friend to do a little sledding. As always, my friends, thank you for watching. I sincerely appreciate your support. Listen to that throttle pedal pop up and down. Sincerely appreciate your support. Please give me a subscribe if you're new to the channel. Give me a like, share my videos. Love it. Sorry, I can't stop playing with it. As always, my friend, thanks for watching. And take care. Cobra. Oh, finish line, fresh air vent. You got this from Finish Line Cobra Accessories. Finish Line air vent. Cool.